trying not to vape when I'm doing it. Because it's I was like, last time I watched it, it was like really annoying.
The vape?
Yeah. This isn't as loud though. Like my other one was like.
Yeah. Gotta get off that. Get on the Zins.
The Zins?
Yeah. Key to sobriety.
Yeah, I heard Carlson Tucker was like talking about the Zin pouches.
Yeah, well, he's like I don't know, I saw, I think like a video of him on milk or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, I have a gift for you.
Whoa. Whoa. Crazy.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, man.
Great outdoor ink sweater.
Yeah, buddy.
Can't beat it.
Be styling.
For sure.
You like that, do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a huge Ducks fan, but this is like one of the best jerseys of all time.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty slick looking.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, no, next time I gotta come with a gift. I came empty-handed.
He brought me a coffee.
Well, it's not really a fair trade-off, but...
That's the gift. Is that a Ducks hat?
An Oregon Ducks hat.
Oh.
College football. But, yeah. Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, buddy.
Now we gotta actually go play some hockey.
I know. Well, I wasn't, like... If I'm going to be totally honest, the intent wasn't... I didn't get it as a gift for you. I got it as a gift. But I was like, I'm never going to wear it. So I just thought you'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's fucking, like, it's in, like, brand new shape.
Yeah. Yes, is it, like, you can find some good stuff like that on, like, Marketplace, Valley Village. Sometimes you find some hidden gems. For sure. Found some good jerseys.
Whenever I'm drinking something, like, even a pop or something, I don't know why, but my hand's, like, kind of shaky. I always think people are gonna like see that and they're gonna be like, oh, he's fucking drinking again, you know, like he's got the jitters.
Yeah, that's one thing that I found in sobriety a little bit is that you're a little bit on guard about like what people think about that. Like they're like, it's like, oh, is he back at it? Is he like, because it's like such like an elusive thing where like you could, you know, you could fake it. Like, I faked it for a lot of, like, years. And I don't think I really faked it good, because I think everybody knew. But you think you are.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you still have that, like, in your head of, like, kind of, like, paranoia of, like, I think people judging you or something like that. Like, where they're, I don't know what it is. Even, like, yeah, just, like, around my family, kind of tiptoe a little bit, because I just don't know, like, I don't know, it's like a feeling out process of like finding a new way in sobriety of like how you present yourself, how to like, I don't know, it's just like figuring it out slowly. It's hard though. It's hard. But
yeah, it's interesting that part of the mind, like even when I'm at a 12-step meeting, like going to put my coffee down on the table and my hand's like this, right? Like just a little bit shaken. And my first thought is like someone's watching that, which they're probably not. And they're like, holy fuck, like this guy. And then I feel like some like, what's the word? Compulsion to share so people know that like, hey, I'm still in the boat, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's very interesting. But I've found, like, that being said, I wonder if that's why, like, because if I'm being honest about that, like, I'll judge people too when I see them, and if I see something about them that's, like, a little off, I'm like, oh, like, you know, did they go back out? Like, and I don't want to think like that, but I do sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. It's like, but I found too, like, I remember a story of somebody actually in the program around here telling me telling me a story about like one of their sponsees that had relapsed and stuff, and like they didn't want to go back into AA because they like, didn't want to hear, like, didn't want the shame and like everybody to have that opinion on them.
Yeah.
And then like what they told them is just like, don't worry, they're all thinking about themselves. They don't care about you. That is true.
Yeah.
Like you go to AA and you're just like, if somebody even does say like that they've, had a slip, or it's like, if anything, I don't feel judgmental. I just kind of like, if anything, it's like you just feel for that person.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like your sobriety you're there for. You're not there for theirs. You're there for theirs in a weird way. But it's not like, it's not to keep them sober.
Yeah.
It's to help them out as much as you can. But it's not like if they, decide a certain thing, it's not like you have any control over that. And you just kind of like, do what you can and, I don't know, do your own thing. And that's what I like about your opinion of sobriety. That's why I like, me and you have had conversations about other people and kind of like what their opinion on sobriety is, and it's this way or no way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find that very limiting. Like, it's just like, sobriety can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And when you open your mind to that too, like, it's like, maybe, you start to kind of lose that, like, I don't know, everybody's working their own program. And actually last Sunday at a meeting, they were talking about how how they say in the book, the definition of insanity is doing, this, it's not like it's just an AA thing, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And he was like, that's not the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is an alcoholic judging another alcoholic and telling him how to like live.
Mm.
And I found that really interesting because like, it's true. Like, who was like, that's like even what for us to be like kind of like tiptoeing around the AA meeting, making sure we're like, I found that this winter is I have to show up a certain way. I have to show up to the meeting happy, a smile on my face, or else people are gonna like think that I'm not doing well. And it happened a lot. I got a lot of people coming up to me after meetings like, "Are you okay?" Like, and it's good to have that support, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you just go through shit. You just have to show up as yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, just showing up at all is like the biggest part, right? And yeah, I mean, I kind of look at that in the light of, when it comes to the program, it's like, God, if you're understanding, well, then shouldn't the rest of it be of my understanding as well? Like, I look at it like it talks about the indispensables, right? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And those three things I totally understand, and I absolutely 100% agree with that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't talk... That's all it says, you know what I mean? It's not like you need to live by this specific regiment, like day in, day out. And there are suggestions in the book, but that being said, they're also noted as suggestions, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like this whole book is a suggestion. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and that being said as well, I feel like those things that trademarks of sobriety, I guess, or I don't know, that's the only word I can think of to describe it, but like, are you happy? Are you living a purposeful life? Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And those are questions that I just kind of ask myself, and then I just gauge where I'm at from there. And it's like, do I feel like I need to change something or not? Because for me, I feel like if there's something that like I want to change or I need to change, then I can just like feel it in my chest. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I look at that as like God letting me know, like, hey buddy, like, your way's not working here. Like, you're not having a good time, right? But if I am, then I kind of don't feel that that desire to necessarily listen to anyone else's suggestions as God's will for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. I think if you could read the big book and do exactly what they say, it also was written at a time that's so different from now. But if you could do exactly what they say 100% every day, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, it's like it even says in the book, like, it's progress, not perfection. Like, you can't, you know, sometimes you're going to say shit that, like, sobriety isn't really necessarily about the not drinking. It's about, like, who you show up as. And, like, if you say something that maybe you shouldn't have said, or you treated somebody that, like, it's just, like, not to get too hard on yourself, because it's like I've gone down that rabbit hole of, like, I'm not being a good AA person, and it's fuck, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, who's the poster boy for this shit? Because it's like, there really isn't anybody, and it's like, you can create that. Like, you, in a way that, like, it's a you know, anonymous program, but, like, you do, in a way, represent AA every day by, like, the way you handle yourself and the way that you treat people. So, yeah, it's, the suggestions, they're, I don't know, they're very, it'll be interesting to see the new edition and, like, what the wording is on it, because I don't really know, like, what, I don't know, it's just kind of getting not out of touch, but I don't know, it's just a lot of that stuff is just, yeah, like you said, suggestions. Just do the best you can. That's the one thing. And like you said, those three, and like willingness to me is like, that was what it was all about. Open-mindedness, you like, a lot of people think that they have it, but it's like, if we were just talking about like people like that were judging in a, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's something that takes time. Something that like, and like all that stuff. But willingness, like that's one thing that you have to be, like, you have to have like that every day. That's one thing that I don't think that you cannot have. Like, if that goes away, it's kind of going to be downhill from there, I feel.
Yeah, I would say too, over time, for me anyway, that open mind has actually closed a little bit compared to what it was at the very beginning, you know? Like when I first got sober, every feeling and like every experience just felt like a brand new one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like watching, like, I don't know if I've told this story on here, but it doesn't matter. But I watched Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, and it was like, I don't know, I was like sober like a week maybe or something, and it like blew my mind. Like, it was like the best movie I've ever seen. And I think it was just like, because I've seen that movie before, but the way that I interpreted the movie was like so different, you know? Like, every little thing that happened in the movie, I was like just relating to like general life or like God, and I was just like, holy, like, I just kind of started to realize there's so many things in life, in the world, in music, in movies that I just don't, because of my closed mind before I got sober, I just never even, does that make, like, you just think of it in a completely different way, you know?
Yeah, it's like, it's just, I know exactly what you mean. I didn't have it with Karate Kid, that's pretty gold, but like, just, it happens to me today, like, it happens to me all the time still, but it's just like, it's really cool to be, I think that's one thing that's like, I don't know, getting sober like young like we did, there is a lot of life experience ahead of us, and to keep having that attitude's like big, because like even like when I was drinking or using it, it's like you think you have it all, you've done it all, you like, there's nothing more to life, and like all that shit that you create, but like yet you like have nothing, like you're empty, like you look in the mirror and you're like, fuck, this sucks, but yet you think you know it all. And then, like, you quit drinking, and it's like, everything that you thought you knew, I don't know, you just, like, become so, like, playful and kiddish, and, like, and, like, not really immature, but, like, you know, even if you are, it's just, like, you're learning, like, who cares, like, you know, you're doing it for the first time sober, you're learning how to be an adult sober, like, it's gonna take time and like people around you have to be patient, and it's like, but those times like of doing something sober for the first time, that story reminds me of the first time I went to rehab. I remember I played croquet. It was like a day activity they had there, and I was like, I went to like the Sunshine Coast Health Center, and you were allowed your phone and stuff. And that was the only rehab I'd ever been to that where you were allowed your phone. So I called my mom after, and she was asking. It was like the first day, and I called her. She was asking how like everything went, and I'm like, I just played croquet. I didn't even know what the fuck it was, but that was awesome. And it's just like shit like that, where it's like you can't buy that. You know what I mean? And it's like to other people, they don't even like think, like they're just like, what do you mean? Like you can't explain that to other people because like
it's just croquet. Like,
they haven't been where like you've been, or like, because nothing mattered. You could have had that experience, and like even like you watching Karate Kid, it's like you could have that experience, but like nothing else mattered because you're not even like, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, in your subconscious it's like, when am I gonna drink next? Because that was the only fun.
Yeah, there
was nothing else fun.
Yeah.
So you had to like, now you have to like create that, and like I find it, that's a good story because like it's so funny that and random the things that you maybe didn't expect to enjoy, but like you like, I haven't played croquet since, but like it's just like, I don't know, it's just,
but if you did, you'd probably love it. Yeah
It's just, but it just comes at you random times where you just, I don't know, that's the beauty of it all. It's just like you get to have those experiences. I'm trying to explain them too, like me and you get it. You talk to any other alcoholic, they get it. But like to explain that to somebody that's never done that kind of stuff or got sober, it's a tough sell. Nobody buy it. They're just like, they don't get it. But good thing is like they don't need to get it.
Yeah.
Like you said, are you happy? Are you living a life that you want to live? Like that's all you need, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big thing for me that I try to remind myself of all the time too is, and I'm not diligent with it, but you know, it talks about in the book as well, like we're undisciplined without God, right? Mm-hmm. And as much as I like want to fight that, I kind of know it to be true, you know, like even in the sense of like, let's say going to the gym, like I'll go to the gym for like a month or like a couple weeks, like religiously, like every day that I work, 5 days a week, I'm at the gym and I'm like, oh, I feel so good. And like in 2-3 weeks, I'm like, fuck, I'm making progress, you know, I've gained 5 pounds or like whatever it is. And then it's just like, once I get that that high, for lack of a better term, right? Like feeling good about myself and like this is the shit, then I'm like, I'm good. You know? Mm-hmm. It's like once I start achieving the goal or the then I just like, I just go stagnant. Mm-hmm. And then like I'll think to myself like, and I won't take action all the time, but I'll think like, wouldn't God want me to do this? Like take care of my health? Like just break it down to basic principles, you know? And then it's like, yeah. And then I just don't, you know? It's like, I don't know. It's difficult. And it's like, I think of all these things that I should be doing in a day, right? And then I make excuses as to why I'm not going to do them, or like I don't have time, or like Nolan's not going to want to do the podcast, I'm not going to bring it up. And really it's just because like I'm just like kind of being lazy about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like for me anyway, sloth is definitely like a big character defect still for me.
Sloth.
Yeah, like just being lazy.
Oh, yeah, no, fair. That's like me too.
One of the 7 deadly sins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting too, because even when you get out of that and you live God's will or whatever you want to call it, and you go and do this stuff, you go to the gym, you do the podcast, afterwards you're like, fuck, I'm so glad I did that, you know? Like it feels good. and then it's almost like you kind of just forget about it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one thing that I've never gotten from the gym is like I leave there and I feel better. I can't stand the gym, but I know what you mean. It's just like living healthy, like eating healthy, even something like that. It's just like I don't know, but yeah, it's just I guess you in a way once you kind of like feel like what you got from where you're going, you don't need to like do it anymore.
Yeah,
but. That's I guess yeah, staying stagnant. That's like a I don't know, pretty. It's a tough spot to be in. I felt a lot of that in the winter. I wasn't really going anywhere. I wasn't like going backwards, but I wasn't going forwards. And, yeah, it was like, I had it explained to me by like an older guy I hang out with in AA, and he just said like. Kind of a lot of the things that I want, like that now that I got back into the workforce, I'm in a relationship, all these things that like I wanted, and like I went to school and I finished that up, and it's just like all these things I wanted to do, and like this like energy, like the God, like that allowed it to happen, and I allowed it to happen because I just kind of gave it up. And then, like, once you have all those possessions, or, like, whatever you want to call them, you want to, like, you're like, okay, now they're mine. And they're never yours.
Yeah.
And it's like, but, like, your brain, like, tricks you, and they'd be like, now it's like, now you got it all. You got it all, or, like, and it's yours to control, But it's not. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that I kind of have to remind myself of, too, is, like, I kind of have to give that stuff to God, even though I want to claim it as my own. Like being engaged to someone who is like totally fucking done with my ass, right? Like how does that happen, right? Like, and yes, I give myself credit because I did like do work, right? But, how that all unfolded, it's not, there were many times where I was like, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm going to buckle up and like, and it's like never worked, until I just like gave it up.
Yeah.
And that's another hard thing to describe because it wasn't even necessarily intentional. It kind of just happened. And then like, same with like, I was telling my fiance, like, what a blessing to get this job, to work at this place. Like, and if I didn't get sober and I wasn't sober today, like, I don't get that.
No.
I don't get to work at a treatment center, And
if you did, you wouldn't be that grateful for it.
No. And I'd be fucking drunk. Like, it wouldn't
matter.
I wouldn't even, like, it wouldn't even be on my radar of jobs I'd be interested in. And I probably would never get that job anyway, So, yeah, it's crazy how powerful staying in that mindset of gratitude is, and for lack of better terms, like walking under the grace of God, But yeah, I kind of just got to give it all up to him, even though I want to hold on to it and be like, this is my money and my fucking
yeah.
Like, yeah, money is a dangerous one. And, I keep airing it out to people, but I keep kind of doing it every now and again. But, like, I got a little addicted to freaking online gambling, like, a month ago.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Fuck, man. It is. And even in the midst of it, I'm able to recognize, like, holy fuck, I have an addictive personality. And then I'm like, like, just 20 more bucks, Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, my bank account's not drained. I'm not, I was going to say I'm not making stupid financial decisions, but I kind of am, because I'm kind of just like throwing money away just to press a button. But yeah, you're just like chasing that win. Like, once you get like, oh, you just won $100. It's like, oh, okay, well, I started with 20, now I got 80 to gamble with. And then if I lose it all, then I just break even and cash out. But maybe I'll hit even bigger. And it's like, fuck, like, I can definitely see how you could get extremely addicted to online gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm saying all this, I'm probably like, we'll hop on there soon and do it again.
Yeah.
But I feel like being aware of it too is a big part, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not... it's not like a chemical or a drug in the sense of like, when I do it, at least I'm still able to be aware, like, this kind of fucked up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if like I drank or did drugs, you know, after a little bit, it's like, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm not thinking that. I'm just like, I'm going to get fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if I drank again, I don't think it would be like, oh, like summertime, like, you know, next thing you know, I'm just like cracking a beer, having a casual beer. I think it's going to be like, and I pray to God it never happens, but I think it's going to like, I'll be going deep. Like it'll be, you know what I mean? Like if I get there, it's going to be like, fuck this, fuck Nolan. I don't care what he has to say. Fuck everybody. And it's like a 2-6 and just gone, you know? And
well, you'd have to say fuck every AA person because like everybody's gonna want to keep you accountable, and that's the last thing you want to hear when you're drinking.
Yeah.
You'd have to. I would do the same because it's like I don't want people down my neck being like, "You're supposed to be sober." It's like, nah, I want to drink.
Yeah, and like to touch on what you were saying earlier too, like once that obsession to like drink or to get high was gone, it was like, fuck. Now I just have to like. How do I deal with life? Like, I don't know how to do all these things. And lots of them were like kind of terrifying. But then once you get through them, you're like, oh, it's always not as bad as you make it in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And you just, for me anyway, I just like, I get tired of living in that fear all the time.
Yeah.
Like this job that I'm very grateful to have gotten, it's like, I was like, scared to go for it because I'm like, I don't want to give up the security and the comfortability of this other job and, you know, like pension and all this and all these things that other people tell you too, like, oh, you have a pension there, government job, like stay there. And it's like, and I told my parents too, it's like, and the organization is great. Like I have nothing bad to say about that company or my coworkers, nothing like that. But I was just suffering there. It was like, how long am I going to suffer before I do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
Because like eventually that could lead to a drink. You know, if it's just, I'm stuck, I've been here. Like I can see how people just get stuck in jobs that they don't like. And I'm just like, I don't want to live that life.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No.
I don't think anyway. Like I rather take less money and just work somewhere that I love. Like, I'm excited to go to work. Because I think that changes kind of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like you have to... I think as somebody that... like, you hear people like, oh, it's been a tough work week. I'm going to go for a drink on Friday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we can't afford to do that. So we got to find something that we don't have to think like that. Because, like...
Yeah.
Like, you have to create that. And even if your outlet is fucking watching Karate Kid or like, you know, croquet or whatever, like, you know, you have to create healthy ones, but at the same time, yeah, you're in there long enough, like, it's nothing good's gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's kind of like how I was telling you about this winter's been going. It's just like, it was a long day after long day, and I wasn't really talking about it to anybody because I'm like, this will just pass, but it never did. And like, thankful that the days are getting longer now and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like you stay on that long enough and you realize the fear and like the stuff that all comes back that like before, and now you got to deal with drinking, and that's like the worst place to be in. Like honestly, like relapsing is the worst because you lose everything that matters in life. You lose relationships, you lose, you know, that's the biggest one. After that, yeah, you lose maybe like some money or whatever.
Yeah.
But like relationships it's the biggest one by far.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah. Well,
I don't know, you can like, it's, but being in that state of like dry drunk-y, like kind of like the days are like suck for the most part. That's like almost like just as bad because you don't have an outlet now. You don't have that like comfort like you used to. Just like I remember having shit days at work and being like, I cannot wait to get home and get high or get drunk, and it's just like, it's like you don't have that option now. You gotta like battle it out and like, and yeah, it's like it's easy for somebody to get home from work and have one or two, and that's fine, and it takes that edge off, and they're fine. But like for me and you, it's not. We're gonna have one or two, and then we end up in a fucking random hotel room 4 days later, blacked out, and like fucking Peachland, and you're like, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah.
And it will happen. I know that will be the case. You know, it's not like you said. It's not gonna be a one beer like at the beach. Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a fuck this. I'm going for it, and that's the scariest thing.
Yeah. And I'd be grateful if it was that one beer, and I would be able to be like, holy fuck, this is fucked up. But I feel like, I mean, I've conceded to my innermost self that I am fucking like powerless over alcohol. Mm-hmm. You know what, like kind of what you were just talking about, like, and you know, if I'm going balls deep, I don't think it's because I've forgotten that. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be because I just don't want to deal with life anymore.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that it's like, because I think that now from like, I'm actually scared of alcohol of the last like times that I've like, I don't know, the last since COVID, like it's just been really like sinister drinking. Before it was like so fun, like you're with all your buddies and you're, you know, there's a lot of good stories that you got and it's so fun and like it's, but like the last since COVID, it's like those stories are so few far in between. It's like you drink and like, even I remember drinking like before I got sober and it'd be like, you know, I knew to myself 99% like chance this is gonna end shitty. I'm gonna feel shitty. I'm gonna do something I don't want to do. I'm gonna like black out for like days and like who knows what's gonna happen and I'm gonna have to deal with the consequences. And it was like, but you still hold on to that like that 1% of fun. It's like, oh, but maybe it could be that night where like you get, you know, like old times with like high school in a way. Maybe it could be like that feeling that I used to get from it. But it's like that was completely gone for me when I was like backed into a corner where it was gone. And I know like I'll never say that I'll never drink again because I who knows, but like I'm the same as you. If I relapse, it's not gonna be like, it's not even gonna be like a party and it's like it's fun and I wanna like, it's gonna be, I kind of gave up. I gave up on life because it's like, and at that point I never want to obviously get there. But what you were saying about how like you know it like to your innermost self, and I agree with that. And I think if you know that and you still continue on with it, then that's when you're in trouble. But like, not to say it couldn't happen, and but yeah, it's holding on to that like desperation is huge. Mm-hmm. Like remember how desperate you were when you like that first day of sobriety, how desperate you were. That desperation is like fuel. Like that's the only reason that you are sober. If you didn't have that desperation that day, you'd just get drunk again. Mm-hmm. But you got to be like that desperate every day after that. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, not hold on to like the shitty like guilt or shame of getting drunk, but you like that, you know, that pit where you're just like, fuck. And there's no word to describe it, but yeah, it's I don't know, just something that I feel like if it's in the back of your mind, it'd be hard to make that choice. But yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be good. It would not be good.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like I've thought about it a few times recently and shared about it. But like one time when I was still in Chilliwack, I tried to go to an AA meeting, and I went there. No one was there. Like no cars, like the building was locked. So I don't know if it was canceled. I don't know what the deal was. But then it was like, fuck it. And I kept drinking. And then months later, after I moved here, I called the hotline. Nobody picked up the phone.
You're like, fuck this guy.
Right?
Yeah.
So then it was like, well, fuck it. And I kept drinking for like a month and a half, maybe a little longer. And then I got sober. But it's interesting looking back at it, right? Like, I wonder if I accessed AA at that time, if I would have gotten sober. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know? And so I guess, you know, like I really just can look at that and be like, holy fuck, God's the best. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, that could have completely changed everything, you know? Like, and not necessarily in the best way, you know? Like, you know, I know it's a small percentage, but, and I don't know why I'm bringing that up. Maybe that's the ego talking, but I'm very grateful that I just, like, I've been sober ever since my very first meeting, you know? And I think, like, that is because of the desperation and, like, fuck, man. Like, I wanted to die that morning. Like, that seemed like my only viable option was to just, like, fuck. Like, I'm done. I'm just gonna fucking kill myself. Or, like, at least, like, it wasn't like I had a plan to kill myself, but that was, like, the feeling, you know? Like, fucking, there's no way out. This is fucking bullshit. Like, it was, like, almost an epiphany in a way, because it was like, I'm just gonna lose everyone. Like, everyone's just gonna be done with my shit forever. And then I'm never gonna be able to, like, hold down a meaningful relationship, like, even with my own parents, right? Like, obviously they still love me, but it's like every time I called, it was like, fuck, like, some shit happened, right? Or, like, my mom's, like, staying up for me, seeing if I even come home, you know? And you don't, like, I never thought about those things when I was drinking, right? But then after, it was like, fuck, I felt like so much guilt too, because I was like, I can't believe I did that to my parents. But you're not aware of it at the time, right? And like, relating that to where I was working as well, it's like so hard, because I feel like I'm like walking a fine line of, like, I understand addiction so well, and I get why they're doing these things, and they're not aware of all these things in the midst of their addiction, but I'm aware of it from the outside. So then I start getting, like, kind of angry, like, kind of fed up with the bullshit and the excuses, and you know what I mean? But on the other hand, I also get it. So it's like, fuck, it just feels like I feel like working that kind of job with people in active addiction is almost like, you're a very valuable asset as someone who's been through it and is sober, but I feel like it also makes the job harder.
I understand what you mean, yeah.
As opposed to someone who's never been in addiction who works there. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, like, you're kind of saying, like, that they're probably just like, oh, these guys are hooked on the substance. Like, they'll just never get off of it. But you understand that there is a way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, and that's not even a really good description of it, but I know what you mean. Because I see that too, like, with people that, like, you know, still battle with, like, alcoholism, and it's just like, and it's not for me to tell them to stop. It's not for me to do anything. You know, you got to figure it out. But, like, it's really, I remember when I first went through the book, and it's just like, you get so pumped up and jacked up, and you just want to share that with everybody.
Yeah.
And you just want to share that with everybody that you know that's hurting too, like your family members or, like, friends you know that battle with it, like, alcoholism, but you can't, because it's like, it's not up to you, but yet, like, yeah, there is that inside of you where it's frustrating, because you're like, if only they knew this. But it's a feeling like, it's a feeling like that me and you have been talking about this whole time, that's like the underlying thing of everything, and that's like that, like, you become conscious of, like, this energy that you didn't know before, and, like, if they don't have that, they're not going to change, because my story is different than yours, and the fact that, I went to rehab like 4 times. I did outpatient programs in Calgary and Edmonton, and it's like you want to like do these like I don't know, you have all this shit done, and it's like everybody pushing you to do it, and then I tried AA in Edmonton a lot, and I shouldn't say a lot. I was a slacker, but I'd go like 1 or 2. But I was drinking so much at the time. Like you have to find space in between your drunks to like actually make it there.
Yeah.
And then you just show up shit faced, and you're just like, fuck, all these people don't know what the hell like they're talking about. And I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's funny to, like, everybody has to have that story that like they have to figure it out, and that's the beauty, and that's why you can't push them. It's because when you do when you find it, figure it out for yourself, like kind of in a way, like you need a little bit of help. Like, people will plant some seeds here and there, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But like once you it clicks for you, and you're just like, whoa, this is like, it's different. It's different than like, because when I went to rehab, like one of the time, like it was every time, like my parents and my sisters and everybody was like pushing me to go, and one time it was literally an intervention. Like I woke up in my sister's bedroom with a bottle on the bedside table, and I look out the window of my parents' room upstairs, and at that point, same thing. Just kind of was like, I don't know. I wasn't really ready to give up drinking though. It was like I was still in it, and I saw a car parked in the driveway that is never there, and for some reason I knew. Like I was like, are these motherfuckers pulling an intervention? And sure enough, I come downstairs, there's a guy sitting on the couch, and he was just like, he's like, you got like a flight to Winnipeg in a couple hours, so pack your shit. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And he was an awesome guy, like just a cool guy. He worked for like the NHL like players assistance program, so like he was telling me some stories. He didn't give names, but
yeah,
just like a lot of them that he worked with, like some stories that he used to take a lot of guys to treatment centers in Thailand, and that's where I was going to go, but it was COVID at the time, and you had to quarantine in like Bangkok for this amount of days, and he's like, one guy, he stopped going there during COVID because one guy got shit-faced and left the hotel, and then you couldn't find him in Bangkok for like a week and stuff, and his family was like going crazy, so he stuck within Canada after that. But yeah, it was so many times where you're just getting pushed, like everybody like is like wanting you to do it, and if you don't, but I don't know, you have to have a taste of it. Like something has to like click. They all have to click at the same time, and it all has to go like out, like, and like it's not up to us, and it's like it just clicks, and everything is like too good to be true all of a sudden, and then it's just like, then you know that it's like something's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it was not something that somebody said. Maybe it was everything that everybody said added up into one. You don't really even know. You just kind of just like, I don't know why I don't want to drink. And at a meeting on Tuesday night, I was talking about that. And I don't know if you get this way, but it's kind of like a scary feeling when you kind of feel alone in sobriety, if you can't talk to people that think the same way about it that you do. Like, in a sense of like, I woke up and I don't want to drink anymore, and like we all were, we could not stop drinking for the life of us. Like, there was nothing, there was no relationship, there was no amount of money, there was like nothing. Like, you could have put literally like a $20,000 check in front of me and be like, don't drink today, and I literally would have said, no, I'm drinking no matter what. Like, some days, like, maybe I would have been like, okay, fair enough, I can save it for the next couple years of drinking. But like, I would have like, in some days I needed it. There was nothing that could have stopped me. And then like, you just wake up and like, it's like, now you don't, and you don't get it, and it's like you read in the book like that vital spiritual experience and stuff like that, and you I think the book is very helpful for that for me, because that was the scariest thing about it all. Like, it wasn't loneliness, and like people say like loneliness and, oh, like nobody understands why I drink, or like nobody gets me because I'm an alcoholic. I didn't really find that. I had enough AA. I had enough of that rehab shit. Like, I knew there were people that were struggling like I was, but once I stopped, I kind of felt alone, and I wasn't reaching out enough, obviously, too. But it was like I was alone in like the why do I not want to drink anymore? And it was like digging at me. And it's like, what is this? Like, what's this new feeling? Like, why am I like this now? And like, what happened to me? You know, like me and my girlfriend do like crosswords and shit. Like, if you were to tell me I was doing that before, like, we do like crosswords. We do like, you know, a bunch of stuff that's just like so funny to me that I love. And I love that like she's brought that into my life because, like, yeah, fuck. A year ago, even 2 years ago, I would have like laughed in your face if you told me that I found like enjoyment in that. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, something changes in you where I don't know. It goes back to like even that Karate Kid thing. It's just like, why do you like your whole mindset? It's not just about drinking anymore. It's about like the people that like you care about, the things like that you didn't know you cared about and now you do. Just like it's like a whole different animal. It's like it's a really cool experience to go through, and it's cool to talk to people that have gone through that because like at some points it's lonely. And I'm not saying it's not even like I'm making it sound like it's really fun. Sometimes it's really not fun. It's lonely and you're like fuck, this is weird. Like it's just like weird in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a place that you need to go to AA, I guess, for other people to understand that, because nobody else is gonna. But they're like talking to you, or like talking to. That's why I think like that, you know. Young people in AA are so valuable. Like to me, if I didn't have you, if I have this buddy in New West that I lived in a sober house with. That's like a really close buddy of mine, and a lot of those other guys that are from that sober house. There were a lot of young people there, and I was in a sober house in Victoria for a bit with a guy that I still keep in touch with, and that's so massive. Like so massive to have that, like have you around Armstrong and have like just people like, because like, I don't know, it's a lonely thing to be sober at this age if you're not surrounded by the right people. And I spend a lot of time with older people. Like tonight I'm gonna go to the Viper game with a guy that's like, you know, twice my age, and it's fun and it's good, but I feel like these relationships, it's like, you just see other people doing it, so you know it's possible. Because yeah, when there's like, hope is everything in sobriety. If you walk into an AA meeting and you're like constantly going there and it's nothing but like 60-year-olds, and some of them are like bitching, some of them have a good message, some of them are like, you're just like, I don't fit in here. But once I went to Armstrong meeting and you know I was introduced to you, it was like a game changer, you know? You're just like, oh, there's other people doing it. And like, I don't know, it's cool because you can hang out with a lot of people your age, and they just, you know, their priorities are a lot different than yours. And it's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just different. Like, you know, if they want to go to the bar Friday and Saturday night, that's awesome. Like, good for them. I wish I could. But I shouldn't say that. I don't wish I could, but you know, like, I live a different life now, and I don't wish I could because I don't like that anymore, and I don't know why, but I don't. And it's like you got to find those people your age that will understand you, because like, yeah, like I said, it can be lonely. This winter was pretty lonely for that, but you know, I got a lot of other good people in my life that they're not sober. Like, I mean, they don't have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah.
But that support me, like my parents, my sisters, my girlfriend, and you know, friends back home. But it's different. It's a different energy when like me and you just like chopping it up about this stuff. It's just like we could go on forever, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that saying, like one alcoholic talking to another. It's just like, it's kind of like, it gets you fired up. It gets you going in a different way. But yeah, it's cool, and I'm really grateful for like, yeah, having you around here, because I mean, we don't hang out a ton, but it's even just like the fact of like knowing that you're here.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's kind of like comforting and like helpful. But
likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, the age thing's interesting because yeah, like because you know who told me that, oh yeah, I'm bringing this guy to the meeting, and I was like fucking pretty stoked, right? Because they were like, yeah, he's like around your age, and I was like, what? Like, because I mean, the percentage of people that come to AA and stay is already small, and then the percentage of people our age that come and stay is even smaller.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I don't know what the percentage is, but I can guarantee you it's probably under 5%. That's a pretty small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I love hanging out with my fiance. Like, that's my best friend. But I can't have these conversations with her, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I could, but she'd probably be like, fuck, shut up. Like,
I know exactly.
You know, like,
yeah.
And I was like that at the very start of sobriety. But it just adds that whole different dynamic to a relationship, right? Where I can talk to you and you're not like, that's fucked up. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck, I get that. Like, you know? And like, even when we went and just like shot the 22, it's like, there's not that many people in the program that I could go do that with and would want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I love everybody in the entire world, but I don't like everyone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but also, like, not everyone likes me either, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily want to even do those things either, right? Like, or if I was like, hey, like, let's fucking go fishing today, right? It's like, sweet, you know. And yeah, I mean, in that aspect, it definitely can be lonely. But also, like, that being said, another gift is that, like, I actually enjoy my own company most of the time now.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to before, it was like I hated being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And drinking alone. Is like, I always wanted to, like, at least be with friends or like at a party or like doing something, you know? And then get wasted, embarrass myself, freaking blackout. But yeah, and another interesting thing is, like, lots of people that I've talked to have also had this experience, maybe you as well, but when I got sober, it was like I became the person I was before I started drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, I'm 14, I fucking, like, love Call of Duty and fishing and, like, just being outside and, like, you know what I mean? And it was like, even now still, it's like, I feel like I have so many interests that it's like almost overwhelming. And I don't not like this about myself. I think it's like a fine quality to have, I guess. But I pick up a lot of things and then just kind of like guitar, right? Is like, I'll play like for 2 weeks or the gym or whatever, and then it's like I'm on to another thing. Or like, I like reading books, and then it's like, no, I'm good on the books. And then and it's like, I mean, I guess it's part of that addictive personality, really, right? But not being solely addicted to one thing per se, because there's so many interests that I'm like constantly like juggling them around. And it's fine. Like, I guess in that respect, it's kind of like a jack of all trades thing, master of none.
Yeah.
But it would also be nice to stay dedicated to one thing for a long period of time. That being said, sobriety is that one thing that I've like just stayed on the path.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess it's just interesting to just look at, and it's like the other day, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, fuck, like, I want an RC car. And then I'm like online, like on YouTube, like watching reviews. I'm like on the website, and it's like, it just happens like that. And I'm like, fuck, I want to buy one. But then I also know is like I'll probably rip it for like could be like a day or like a week, and then I'm like, nah, you know?
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing though, because
No.
I think that interest in like that like I don't want to call it childish because that's not the right word. It's like a intriguing, like playful mind. I think
Yeah.
that's the most beautiful mind to have.
Yeah.
Like, and we didn't have that drinking. Like, we were so shut off from that for years, and so like to have that again, I think is actually like a blessing. Like you're not, even if you don't like nobody expects you to be, Slash on the guitar or anything like that. Like it's kind of like whatever you want to spend your time doing, as long as you're like, as you're busy. It's like you're just like picking up different things and trying things out. That's the whole. That's actually like funny because I found like in alcoholism and drug addiction, like I didn't have any hobbies. There was not one. Like there was nothing. I I used to like cooking and just getting shit faced, and by the time I was like done cooking, like you didn't really know what you were gonna get. And even like painting, I used to get like pretty like high on pills and just like paint and just like I love that. I used to love that, but like but it wasn't I didn't love the paint. I didn't love cooking. I loved getting high and drunk, and that was just like something to do while I was doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like if you were to tell me to paint sober the next day, I would have been like no shot. Or like cook this meal sober, like no shot. And it's like now I can do those things. I like I don't do them very often, but I like cooking and painting, and I can do them sober, and it's fun. And it's just like I said, crosswords and like a lot of the stuff. It's actually like my girlfriend's been really helpful with that because I didn't even know where to start. I'm like, what do people do to spend their time? Because when I drank and used, that's all I did. Like I didn't like there was no time for anything else. There was no time to like I'd sit there watch the Oilers game or like watch baseball or whatever. But half the time I had to like I would go to Oilers games. And, like, I would literally have the next day, I'd go with people. Like, I remember, like, at one point, my cousin, he was working at the barber academy that I went to. And I'd go to games with him. Or, like, I don't know, anybody. And I would just, like, I'd get so shit-faced at them. And then, like, the next day, I know they want to talk about them. Or, I have, like, group chats about talking about the Oilers. Or all my buddies are into the Oilers, too. So I'd literally have to, like, watch the YouTube clip the next morning to, like, know what happened in the game. Because I was so shit-faced to even, like, remember. And it's just, like, yeah, it's just, like...
Damn.
I don't know. Yeah, it was bad. Like, the amount of times that I left Roger's place and, like... And I don't know how I got home. I used to live, like... I lived at McEwen Residence for a bit, so it was, like, a couple blocks from there, so I could just walk home. But the amount of times I went to Oiler games and just like by the second period I didn't remember was just it's wild. And it's like and then you wake up and you're just like I don't know, something random happened and you're just like yikes. It's just like it's crazy that's how we spent our time, just like self-destructing.
Yeah.
Like we just like it was like it was there was so I don't know what are you trying to find in that lifestyle, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of searching that you're doing, but like there's like what is the goal of it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think of like our spiritual malady, I guess, in the sense of like once I felt that connection to God, it was like holy like it felt like fuck, this is what I've been searching for. But even now, it's like I don't feel that connection all the time, but it doesn't necessarily like really bother me. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's there.
Yeah.
No matter, yeah, if you really wanted to search for it, it's there.
Yeah, which gives me kind of some peace too. But yeah, looking back on that stuff, kind of, I mean, not so much anymore, but at the start, like, lots of guilt and shame around it, too, because it was like, my mom would be like, oh, you want to play a board game? And it's like, no. You want to do this? No. Right? And it's like, no interest in hanging out with my parents, like, don't have time for that. I just want to go fucking drink with my friends and get high. And then, like, when you're talking about the games, I was just thinking of, like, going to, like, a concert. And it's like I would just be, like, fucking blackout, and, like, I'm not present for any of the concert or whatever. And it's like there's concerts that I've been to that I have, like, no memory of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, fuck, like, in retrospect, what a waste. At the time, oh yeah, this is awesome, but it's like not remembering any of those things is kind of sad, you know? And especially, like, I've had people bring things up like, oh, remember this? Like, it was so much fun. And, like, times necessarily where I didn't even, like, make a fool of myself, or, like, maybe I was drinking or high, but, like, it was generally a good time. But nonetheless, like, they bring it up and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I literally have zero memory of that. Yeah. Like, remember you did this? I'm like.
Do you ever get that when it's, like, a sober memory? Say, like, you were actually maybe sober at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Same. Like, people will bring up shit that I did when I was, like, even, like, when I started drinking, like, you know, early on drinking days, like, they'll bring it up, like, you know, like, a lot of things in, like, in high school, and I guarantee, like, I don't think I was drinking at the time. Like, I was, like, you know, I was drinking at the time, but I wasn't drunk at that specific moment. And I'm like, everybody else was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm like, no, I don't remember that. Yeah,
memories are weird. Like, I've had stuff that's even happened, like, since I've been sober now, and people have brought up, and I'm like, it's just kind of weird how memory works. It's like, if it doesn't, because in the moment, it's not like you're thinking, like, oh, this is important, I need to remember this, you know, this day or what, or this experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's either, like, stored in your memory bank or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I'm even necessarily choosing what those are, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%, because there's a lot of shit that you would wish that you didn't remember.
Yeah, or did.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and it's like, you know, like yesterday, Rihanna brought something up, and I was sober at the time, and she's like, yeah, remember this? Like, we were with these people, and I'm like, no. Like, just gone, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, memories.
But you gotta play along.
Oh.
That's the worst. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, really backtracking now, but this new... Well, actually, I have a question I want to ask you before I even bring this up. Like, because I didn't go to rehab or nothing like that. Like, when you went to rehab and you went to meet-ins, it's like, generally speaking, you heard the same things that you hear now.
Mm-hmm.
What made this last time, like, a pivotal moment? Or was there something somebody said that just, like, registered different? Or is there even necessarily a specific moment or not?
Yes, there is. But it actually happened when I was under the influence of something during around a Thanksgiving time. Before I got sober, it would have been around Thanksgiving, and then I got sober the next January, or I guess, like, so maybe
like a couple months later.
Yeah, 4 months later. I just had a voice, like, I was driving to my Baba, she was having, like, Thanksgiving dinner, and I was driving home from my cousin's house, and I just had this voice in my head, and it was like, you know, it was the night before, and I got a voice in my head that just said, like, the universe has your back. And that intrigued me. I don't think that got me sober or anything, but, like, I was like,
the fuck?
Where did that come from? And yeah, and then I kept drinking, obviously, like, for months, and it got, like, really, really sinister. Like, the last couple months was, like, really bad, where there was no fun in it at all. Like, yeah, it was just things that I, like, you know, if I told stories, other people might laugh, but, like, to me, they're not funny. Like, because I was in such a dark place, you can't even laugh at yourself. And so I was just, like, really alone, and I don't know, just, like, I think desperation, like that feeling that you were talking about earlier, where it's like not necessarily that you wanna. You don't want, like, it's not like you're gonna like go jump in traffic, but like there was times where I'd look out. I lived on like the what was it? I don't know. It was a tall building like downtown Edmonton, and I would go out on my balcony and I'd look at all the people. I remember like just looking at all the people, and just like looking at the lives that they lived, and I'd watch people like driving around and walking their dog, and I'd be like what am I missing here? And I'd contemplate, like, I'm missing something and something's wrong with me. And, there was times where, like, I wasn't going to jump, but I was like, this is, something's, like, I have a loose screw here. Because I'm like, what? I would just look at them and I'd be like, what do they have that I don't? Mm. And, like, I remember that, like, really vividly. It was a thing I did often drunk, too. I would just go out there and sit and just be like, this is just, like, I'm missing something here, and like, because it's clicking with all these other people, but at that time you don't realize that nobody has it perfect. They can like walk their dog, and now you realize that that's like just an everyday activity that's like not really even that big of a deal. But like at that time I literally couldn't even, if I had a dog, I couldn't even go walk it if I wanted to. I was in such pain from like detoxing or being drunk, or like I had a lot of like health problems. I remember like my stomach was like absolutely mangled. I had like just like my stomach lining was like torn to shreds, where like I couldn't even stomach beer anymore or wine. Like I'd have to have vodka, and it was like straight out the bottle, and I couldn't even like if I mixed a glass, I maybe would put a little bit of water to cut it a bit, but the only thing that could like skyrocket my alcohol content enough for my stomach to be numb was straight vodka. Like, because I would pound some, and then, like, I'd be kind of, like, it'd be so numb that it wouldn't hurt. But, like, beer would sit in there for too long for the alcohol to actually hit me, that, like, it just didn't do it. I would throw it up or whatever. So that was one thing. I mean, like, I had my blood work done at a detox place in Red Deer. I remember, like, I had detoxed at this place, like, a couple times, and the doctor had told me, He'd done my blood work, and he looked at it, and he said, if you keep drinking like this, you will not see 30, I can guarantee you. And at that time, like, right at that moment, it didn't hit me. That, like, oh shit. If anything, I was like, oh fuck, I have like 8 more years of drinking. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, like, this is actually like kind of good. I actually expected less. But like, that's like, if I ran my body to the ground before I ran my mind, because it wasn't long, like, after, like, I got sober, I would have ran my mind to the ground. And like, I don't know, I just, like, you get to this point where I think, and it's, like, there's a guy that, and you probably know him, but, like, I used to live with him in a sober house in Victoria. He's an older guy, and he used to drive me and a bunch of the younger guys from rehab to AA meetings. And this was like, I only lasted in Victoria for like about a month and a half, and then I relapsed at the sober house and I got kicked out. It was like raining, and oh, that's a different story. Holy shit, but we should get into that. It's actually not a bad one, but yeah, it was like, anyways, he's driving me to like us to these meetings, and we're all just like, fuck this, like, we hated it, we didn't get AA, we didn't understand it, we're forced, like, you had to write on a board how much meetings you were going to a week and all that, and then he it was so awesome because, and I would like, and he said to me, and he would always say this, like, I like your honesty, because it would be kids my age and him, and he would drive us, and we'd all be talking this shit in the car, and we'd get to the meeting and they'd all be like, I'm trying, I'm praying, and I would show up to the meetings in Victoria, I'd be like, fuck, I hate this place, like, I don't like any of you guys, like, I don't understand the book, and I was like, I would say what I said in the car in the meeting, and he's like, people didn't want to hear it, but he's like, I admire that in you, that you were just like, I don't get this, and I'm not getting it, and I'm not going to get it unless somebody, like something happens, like, I wasn't really, like, wishy-washy about, like, maybe sobriety would be cool. I was like, I don't want it, and I'm like, everybody's forced me to. So it was cool because so once I got kicked out of that sober house, I hadn't talked to him for like a long time. Like, it would have been probably 2 years later. I went to a meeting, the first meeting I went to in Armstrong, he was there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I could ask you the same thing. Like, what? And he had told me he was planning on moving to Vernon eventually and all that stuff. But yeah, so anyways, it's just like, he was at my 1 year cake and he came up to me and he was like, what had changed? Like, what would you say is a difference? Like, what? Because he brought up in the car, he's like, he used to hate AA. Like, he used to despise it. Like, what changed in you? And I literally said to him, I said, honestly, if there was any ounce of fun in drinking anymore, I'd be doing it. Like, if there was even like a chance I could have fun, I'd be doing it. I had to get to a point where I knew, to, like you said, your innermost self, that no matter like the bottle is not going to do anything for you. Like, I had to really like, just, yeah, I knew that there was no way out. Like, no way out of my mind anymore. Alcohol wasn't cutting it for me anymore. Like, there was absolutely no chance I was gonna have fun with it anymore. And but yeah, like, I'm grateful for like every, like, I always say this, and I don't know if it's a very popular thing to say in AA or in the recovery community, but like, I had to have the last drop of vodka. I had to have the last line of any drug. I had to have the last hit of anything, because if I didn't have all that, I wouldn't have got to that, like, that there's nothing in here for me anymore. Like, I had to do that every single thing, because, like, it was getting to places where, yeah, it's just not fun anymore. And I was going through, like, I was hurting people I loved. Shit wasn't making sense. Like, I was going through, like, psychosis, like, on drugs more than, but alcohol too. But, like, I was going through a psychosis that really scared the shit out of me. And yeah, it was just, like, shit just was not good. And, I didn't even really make the choice to come out here. Like, I kind of did, but I also was just, like, it was kind of that, like, grass is greener kind of scenario where I didn't really want to be in Edmonton anymore. And I don't know, I just kind of took a chance and came here, and just, like, unexplainable, like, I can't explain it, but, like, everything just lined up for me to stop. But there was not, like, all those moments kind of, like, played a part in it, and I see how it was all very valuable. It kind of, like, yeah, it just goes into, like, there's no such thing as a coincidence. And I genuinely do, like, you know, believe that. And it's a wild thing that happened to me, that, like, that, and maybe that's the reason that I struggled this winter, was because there was no reason. There was no, like, oh, okay, that makes sense, I can connect this, and this is why I'm sober. There's no answer to it. Like, there's no answer to it. And, like, you kind of can, like, drive yourself nuts by, like, diving and being like, why a year ago all I wanted to do was, you know, like, fucked up shit, and, like, now all I want to do is the New York Times crossword. Like, it doesn't add up. Like, why is that? And like, yeah, you can't explain it, but there wasn't really, I would say that thing, like, that I was telling you about on Thanksgiving, like, that gave me a nudge. And it was from, like, I'll admit, it wasn't from it was from a substance. So but it was the first time I had felt something outside of me. It was the first time that I had felt something, like, push me a different way. Every drug, I kind of knew what to expect. I kind of knew, and it's not like I hadn't done this one before.
Yeah.
But it pushed me in a way that I had never been pushed before, in, like, a positive way. It was like, it wasn't telling me, like, you know, when you wake up the next day from drinking, you're like, fuck, you're a shitty person, I hate you, like, all that stuff. You're looking in the mirror and you can't even do it. And, like, this was, like, a different energy. It was like, the universe has your back. It's like, it's gonna work out. Keep going. That was it. It was simple, but it was like, it guided me in a weird way in the right direction. And yeah, it's like, it's crazy to think about, but that was the first time I think that I maybe got, like, maybe that's what I wasn't getting in AA. You know, some people go and they get that, like, you know, the third step, and it's just like, it's God, they can just do it. For me, I was like, that was the first time I had experienced something outside of myself that maybe, like, triggered me to understand the third step and be able to, like, I don't know, somehow, like, see how AA could help me in my life, because before that I had never experienced that, but it definitely guided me, if that makes any sense. But
totally get it. Yeah, I've never like when I ended up at my first meeting, it was just very weird how it happened, because like from my recollection, it wasn't necessarily like, I don't remember hearing a voice. I don't remember, like, I don't even necessarily remember intentionally thinking like, you need to get to a 12-step meeting. It was like, it was kind of like, you need help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to change something. Like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I never want to forget that morning either, because it felt like in a minute's time, it was like, you know, the first 30 seconds is like, fuck, like, I just want to die. Like, everything came crumbling down. And then the next 30 seconds was like, I had hope and faith that everything was going to be okay. I didn't know how. I didn't know, like, I just knew I needed help. And I don't even know how I knew of AA or the rooms, but somehow I did. Like, I'd never been to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even prior to that, when I tried in Chilliwack, like, I didn't know anyone who was sober. I don't even know how I knew of it, but I did somehow. And, yeah, it's just like, fuck, I was just like, drove to the AA meeting and just like bawled my eyes out the whole drive, cried the whole meeting. But it was like, it's interesting, even like you were talking about, like, even in sobriety, how you can get in that state of like, I'm the only person that feels like this, like, isolation king, when in reality that's just not the case, but you think it is, right? Like, even with the drinking, it was like, I didn't know anyone who drank like me. I didn't know it's just me, like, why do I feel like this? And you're like searching for meaning out of life, I guess. So to go there and to hear, like, yeah, like, just to hear those things, because I had never heard them, right? And to hear, like, yeah, like, after that first drink, like, what happens after that? Unpredictable. And I was like, what? Like, and, you know, after the first drink, I can't stop until I black out. I was like, what the? Like, I couldn't even believe it. But that was me, and it was like, fuck, these people were, like, sober and laughing, and, like, yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. But now to backtrack, I guess, this, like, so what's this new edition of the book about? Same stuff, different, like...
I don't really know.
Me neither.
I don't really know what it's going to be like, or what it's... Yeah, I don't even know. I think is it not next year or something like that?
I have no idea.
But it's like it's just like, you know how, like, there's the first, second, third edition or whatever.
Yeah,
they're just coming out, but I guess fifth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting, because I think they'll maybe take I don't know. You kind of feel like really, you know, some of the prayers, some of, like, even the wording, it's just like, when you read it, you feel so like Shakespearean. You feel like you're like so knowledgeable. You're like, holy shit, this just rolls off the tongue. You're just like, it's so funny how, like, you're just like, it sounds very old, and I think that's what kind of, like, has a charm to it. It's kind of cool. I like that about it. But at the same time, like, half the shit I read, I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
if they could put it in a way that, like, you know, it's more, like, I'm not saying to be like, put like, dude, you gotta get sober, yo. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but like not like can't put in like that language, but just like, I'm not like, just put it in a language where majority of people can understand it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of it would be helpful if it was like, 24 English, not, but like not slang either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like, just, I don't know.
Yeah, it can be kind of confusing. Or just like not super enjoyable to read. So it's like the book's not it's not as enticing as it could be, and I value everything in that book for sure. But it just, I mean, I understand why it needs an update. And I do also, I hope and I hope it doesn't go woke, for lack of a better term. But when you are reading it in meetings, I can see how it's almost it's a lot of like, even when it's generally speaking about like man or woman, it's more man, like he, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he shall not do this or whatever, and it's like I can see how that could kind of be like, for the woman anyway, like what the fuck, like
yeah.
But it could definitely be more palatable and more inclusive, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know how to, like, what it's missing or what it needs, but they're gonna they're obviously gonna change some stuff because they're not just gonna reprint the same book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, we'll see, but I hope it's not too like you said, woke or whatever. I don't even know what the right term would be, and I don't even know if I want to say it here, but it's like, you know what I mean. It's just like, you can't have it where it's like, you gotta have some of that like old school, the basis of it all in there still, and like, I think it's cool to have like, a certain things, like, for example, like how it works or something like that. You can't change that. Like, I don't think you can. Like, and if you did, like, I don't know, it just wouldn't be. I don't know if it would just like have a different feel to it, but I don't know. I'm not smart enough to write the book, so I won't. Good thing they won't ask me.
Me neither. I remember I mean, still a little bit now, but when I first got sober, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna write a book about my story. And then thinking about it now, I'm like, I feel like my story's not long enough. Like, I'm so young that it's...
Yeah.
I feel like more time needs to go by. You know what I mean? Like, I could sum up, like, 8 years probably pretty quickly. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I did in my step one, I guess, and it's like, fuck, that was like 8 pages. That's not a book. Like, maybe like a short story, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, you kind of feel like a hero. Like, you know what I mean? I felt the same way, and I remember, like, it's so funny when you're, like, a couple weeks sober, and you're just... I remember thinking, like, so many times I'd go to, like, 1 year cakes, I'd be like, what am I going to say at mine? Like, I'm going to, like, Martin Luther King them and just give them this crazy speech. But, like, it wasn't like that. Like, even, like, I didn't even really want to go to my 1 year cake. I felt like so, like, it's all about me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I went there and it was all about me. And it was kind of like, I just rolled with it. And I was like crying the whole time. And my family was all there. And my girlfriend was there. And like, yeah, it was just a moment where I'm like, you know what? Maybe tonight is all about me. Who cares? Fuck it. I was just like, it was weird though. I really didn't want it. Like, I didn't really say that to anybody because I didn't really, like, I didn't know how to word it. It's not that I didn't want it, but like, it's like going to a birthday party and everybody's like, it's all about you, and you're just like,
it's just a birthday.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know if I, like, this is kind of awkward because everybody's like, I don't know. But when it's like, yeah, that time, it's funny when you're a month sober and you're a hero, and like and then like a year goes into it and you just realize that like you're just kind of a part of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You're a piece of the puzzle. It's not necessarily like yeah, I don't know, it's just like you just gotta, I guess, give it back, I guess, in a way. Like, there's not really, I don't know, not much, I don't know, to like go, like, I don't know, I just feel like you get a year and it's just like, I don't know, it's just, it wasn't as like crazy as you think it's gonna be, I guess.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it's just, I more so enjoyed my 2 year more than the 1, but only because my parents weren't at my 1, but they're at my 2, and that was pretty crazy. Like, my dad shared and he was crying. I was like, what the like, I haven't seen him cry that many times, maybe a couple times, and it was like, holy fuck, you know, like, he was like so proud, and it was like, damn, like, and I feel like I'm really best friends with them. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just call them, we'll shoot the shit, and like, I would just never do that before. Mm-hmm. It's like, fuck, my parents pissed me off, telling me what to do all the time. But now it's like, it's nice too, because like, when I call my parents, they're also not like, oh fuck, what happened now? You know? Like, they know I'm okay, and I'm sure that gives them a lot of peace, and so
Yeah.
That's quite the gift in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is cool when you can like talk to people that, I don't know if like anybody, like, did anybody give up on you? They were just like, this kid's a throwaway, like, kind of like.
Not my family, but yeah, definitely people. Definitely, definitely people I knew, and but not necessarily like super harsh, like fuck you, like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like, they just kind of wouldn't talk to me, or like I'd reach out and they like wouldn't get back to me, that kind of thing. And at the time, I kind of held a resentment towards those people. Like, what the fuck? How come so and so never wants to hang out? Like, what the fuck's his problem? But then after I got sober, I was like, well, you know, I'm not necessarily that fun to hang out with. No. I think I am, but you know, thankfully, I was able to reconnect with those people, and like today we're on great terms, and you know, we're not as close as we used to be, but we're cool, and I can text them and they'll get back to me. I can go down to Chilliwack, we can hang out, and they want to hang out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not like a drunk idiot, and like, it's just a good time, and we laugh about old times and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's quite a blessing that I've not. I mean, there have been people who just want nothing to do with me and never to see me again, but it's not like we are necessarily friends either when I was drinking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and by that I mean like either it was like a romantic relationship or like something, pretty much just that, really. And I don't really have a reason to see those people anyway, unless it would be to make amends with them. But if they don't want to see me or want anything to do with me, that's cool too. But fuck, that was hard to accept at first. Like, and I, in retrospect, I actually think I went about it the wrong way. Like, now I look at it as like, if God puts that person in my path, then I will 100% without a doubt make amends. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's my job to fucking go around the world making amends to people. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, reaching out to them on Facebook or whatever it is and being like, hey, I need to make amends to you. Like, I almost think that's kind of selfish in a way. Mm-hmm. You know? And when I did that, it didn't work out with all those people. So I think I kind of should have just left it and stayed on my path. And I know why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm sober and how I hurt those people, and that I never want to do that to anyone ever again. And that's why I'm going to keep doing this. And that's kind of my living amends, you know? And you know, but that being said, there were other people that I reached out to that were more than willing to have the conversation, and I made amends with, and they went great. And one of those people, without telling the story, was the last person on that list that I thought would be willing to listen to what I had to say or having a conversation about it, but they were like the most willing. And I feel like that's a very big reflection of who that person is, you know? Like, and this person that I'm talking about is clearly pretty spiritually fit, for lack of a better term. So they understand where I'm coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like those people that aren't, they are just in their own, I don't even want to hear it, like fucking, you know, which is also fair and valid. But coming from the other side, you know, now that I let all those resentments go, and, you know, I was always kind of the common denominator in all of those problems and stuff. But if somebody that I thought did me really wrong was like, hey man, like, I want to make amends, now it would be like, absolutely, like, I want to hear what they have to say. But I wouldn't be like, you better fucking like say the right thing, or like, you know what I mean? It would just be like, holy fuck, I can't believe this person is like, has changed and is willing to like, fucking good on them. But that's because I'm at where I'm at now. So if somebody else isn't relatively close to the same place, alcoholic or not, I understand why they're closed off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made sense.
No. I get it. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I don't know. Amends are I found like, I don't know if you had this when you went back, like when you were newly sober, to like your like back to Chilliwack.
Yep.
Like kind of like when I went back to Airdrie, it would be like, I'd go to like the grocery store, I'd be like, I kind of hope I like bump into like a couple people that like show them how good I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then like now it's like I don't know, it's just funny, like I don't know, you just kind of like, you want to like go out of your way to like show everybody like how amazing, you know, you're doing, and it's just like at the end of the day, it's or not necessarily that, but it's more like that you're a better person, all that stuff. And but at the end of the day, like you said, some bridges you just burnt to the ground, like it's like it's not even worth like going back. It's like if like you said, if you ever like were to like see them in person again, then you could maybe have a chat. But even then, it's kind of like weird. I don't know. I found like it's just like, it's funny because like at like treatment centers or, you know, sober houses, they'd want you to complete a set of steps, and like in front of them they would want to like know that you did them. And so I had done like a lot of like half-fat, like I never cared. It was like homework in a way. So like I just did a lot of those kind of steps. So you'd have to make amends. So the amount of like half-fast shitty amends I've made, I don't even think to a lot of people I can make a legitimate one for like a long time. And I don't really necessarily think that the people that like are in my life today want that. They just want to see me continuing to like, you know, try and be the best person I can be. It's not necessarily like, they don't need me to like sit them down and be like, listen, remember that one time that I like, and then just like rehash like a list of all the shit things that you did, like, because I've already done that and I half-fasted it and like didn't care really. And obviously like people can tell when you don't really give a shit. Just like, it's like, so by the way, like my sponsor like told me that I gotta do this. And it's just like, it's awkward and it's weird, and they're just like, no worries, no sweat, like it's all good, like, you know. It's like, now I feel like, you know, there might be a time and a place like where I could like have like a genuine one with like my parents, say, but I probably would like give it a couple of years. like I gotta prove myself. Like, you know, I'm only like, I just got a year of sobriety. Like there's so much of this stuff that like I love. Like you know, I think talking to you, it's like awesome to like get into it, but there's still so much I have to learn, and there's so much that I have to like. There's so much that I don't necessarily like it's not like, I don't know, you'll never get it perfect. Like, it's not like you're gonna be like, okay, I have this locked and loaded, let's do these amends.
Yeah.
But in a way, I'm just like, I'm still like, you know, I you know, I don't want to like make these amends and then, you know, I'm not worried about anything happening. But it's just kind of like, I feel like with all that, if I didn't have fast those ones before, it'd be different. But I feel like now it's like, all right, let's give it a couple years of like good, solid, you know, work and just like, I don't know, to really let it sit. And like, and it holds more weight that way. Like, you can't, if I just brought my mom aside and I'm just like, listen, like, now that I have a year, and now I'm this like crazy Captain Recovery, like, will you accept this apology? Like, it's more of like, I'm living it, you know, every day, and then maybe sometime down the road, kind of like, like it naturally. Like, I find like when it's like you like a couple of them, it's kind of like, you know, you text them to like meet up and like you kind of do it, and it's so fucking weird, you know. Like if it was just like you saw them, it'd have to be like, you know, just the right place, right time. It was just like, and it didn't have to be anything crazy. Like, just like, hey, listen, like, you know what I'm apologizing for, like, you know. And like you said, it takes like that person to kind of like connect with you on that way, to be like, they know what you mean, and they're just like, it's all good. Like, it's like, you know, kind of in a way. And if it's not, it's not too. But like, there's a reason that you probably won't cross paths with those people anymore. Yeah. Because like, you don't really need to. But like, yeah, it's got to be natural. I find like that's like the biggest thing for amends, because it's kind of, I've done so many of those where it's just like you text them to like meet up and then you do it and it's just like, fuck, that was weird. You know? It's like not like natural, just like you see them and at the right time. Like, even if you saw them at the grocery store or something, you're gonna like hold up Safeway and be like, hey, remember that shitty thing I did to you when I was drinking? Like, I want to apologize for that right now. Yeah. It's like, no, like, it's got to be a right place, right time too. I don't know. Yeah,
that's like when I went down to Chilliwack, I didn't necessarily go down there just to make amends. Like, I went there to go see my friends and kind of hang out. But lots of those people I wanted to make amends to as well. So, like, we would already just be chilling. And then I'd be like, hey, man, like, I just want to read you something quick. You know? And then I would, like, read my amends. And I'd be like, I want you to keep this. And, like, and most of them, I think all of them I made, actually, they were like, oh, dude, like, it's all good. Like, I wasn't even, you know what I mean? I don't even know what you're talking about. Or, like, I'm so over this that, like, you know what I mean? And those are good ones to make, too, because they're already like, no, like, we're good, man. Like, you don't have to do this. But it's like, no, I want to. Like, because I feel like this was wrong. Right? You might not even think that it was, or you might be over it, but it's still like, I'm still carrying it around and I gotta let it go. And yeah, like, there was one I made to a person who, like, I love this person, and it was just like, but I was kind of just doing it to get it out of the way and be like, I don't have to worry about making this amends anymore. And it was kind of funny, actually, because there was, like, where we were, there was a shit ton of mosquitoes. And I'm just like both of us are like hitting mosquitoes, and I'm just like reading this letter. And then I'm like, here, take this. And then I'm like out of there. But last time I went down, like, I saw him and it was awesome. Like, it's all good, you know? Like, we're all good. And he's like progressing his life. I'm progressing mine. And there's no conflict anymore that we're not talking about, you know? You know? Like, there's no tension.
Like elephant in the room kind of
thing. And yeah, that's a pretty good feeling. Yeah. And Yeah, and like you said, I think most people, even like, and there's people too who might not want to talk to us or see us, but if they saw us doing well, they would be like, right on, like good for them, and that feeling is reciprocated as well for those people who don't want to see or talk to me. Like if I see a picture and it looks like they're doing well, I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like good for them. They're just moving on in their own way and healing in their own way. Like even if I make an amends to someone, I'm not going to heal them. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have to heal themselves no matter what, whether I make amends to them or not.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not going to hold on to that baggage either, you know? Like, fuck, if I don't make this amends, like this person's just going to hold on to this forever and like.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
You gotta like determine if it's like just being selfish or like for your own sake, or like if it's actually gonna like but I don't know, they just like the like amends for like I don't know, just like I don't know, I never did it where I like gave the paper and stuff. It's always just been talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some things that are like better just left unsaid, in a way.
Yeah.
But if I actually wrote them a letter and stuff, maybe that would be different. I don't know. I just always kind of half-assed them.
Well, that's like, you know, like unless to do so would injure them or others. There were some pieces I didn't think too much about, I guess, how I affected that person. You know what? Like I didn't really think whether or not this was going to injure them or not, or rehashing stuff that they're probably still trying to deal with. And I guess it's kind of selfish in that way, where it was like, no, I got to do this. Like, you know, does that make sense? And it's like, that was not the right move, but now I know that, and I can tell that to a sponsee or someone who's like, you know what I mean? Like asks about it. And I mean, I heard this great advice from someone who I was like explaining my struggle with that too, who just said, you know, I think if you're meant to make amends with that person at this time, then you will just run into them, or some, you know, divine guidance will intervene and put you two together. And if not, I don't think it's your job to be reaching out solely for that purpose. And for me, that clicked, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because when I did do this, it went bad. Not for the majority of people, but for some, right?
Yeah.
Like the friends that I made amends to in Chilliwack, I wasn't like, hey, I'm coming down to Chilliwack and we're going to make amends. It was just like, hey, I'm coming to visit and kick it and like, let's chill and have a good time. And then once I got down there, it was like, hey, I just want to do this quick, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess intention is a big piece of that step as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm I'm not too like experienced when it comes to the amends. And like I said, I never did it right anyways. Or I'm like right or wrong, whatever, but like I just like I feel like mine are down the road. But yeah, like running into them, it's just it'd take a special time and a place to like divinely run into them. And then if it does happen, then you know.
Yeah.
It's just
that's how I feel about it now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the chances are very slim, but that's not to say that it wouldn't happen. Like maybe it happens in like fucking 10 years, right? But you know, hopefully God willing, at that time, at least I'm able to be like, yeah, I'm fucking 12 years clean. You know? And it's like, holy shit. Like, that's where I feel like the undeniables for me anyway, like no matter what anyone wants to say about like your sobriety or how you're doing things or whatever, is like those things that I talked about before, right? Like, are you sober? Like, are you telling the truth? Are you happy? Like those things, to me, are the undeniable facts, right? It's like someone who's like chronically relapsing, or like, I'm not going to say has less sobriety than me because I don't think that matters. But if they're trying to tell me what to do or like how to live my program or whatever, it's like, hey man, like I'm not relapsing. I'm not, clearly not saying this selfishly, or maybe it is a little bit out of ego, but clearly I know something that you haven't got yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that you won't, but you're still missing a piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I think there's value in everybody's like
Oh, absolutely.
judgment, or
Absolutely.
like not judgment. I shouldn't say that, but like there will be. I've heard some things that come out of people's mouths that are like one day clean, and it's just like, oh my god, that like rocked my world. Like that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Rather than like a guy sitting there with like 30 years and he's just like on the same shit that he said last week.
Yeah.
You're just like, fuck man, that does nothing for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of selfish in too, like judging him, but like, you know, I find that some of those people that like sometimes that's the desperation speaking. And like if you need a little kick in the arse, like that's like where you get it from. Is like that hospital meeting like in Vernon. I went there once and it was just like the people come from detox and you see like where you were at like not that long ago, and you're just like, man, I needed that. Like it was like they have some good message. Like as much as it is like you said, like if it's like they're telling you specifically, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, no thanks. Like anybody, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, if there's somebody with like 30 years of sobriety, like yeah, you're just like yep, yes sir, yeah. Like it's whatever. Like it's like whether you're gonna use it or not, whatever. But like it's all your own opinion. But like yeah, some of the shit like I find for meetings, I loved like NA and Surrey. It was just like there was so much like crazy shit that would happen. It made it entertaining and like fun to go to because there was just like it was like there were some tragedies for sure. Like, you know, overdoses and shit like that's a part of it that sucks. But like, yeah, just like the
mic went down.
Oh. You know.
What the fuck? That's weird. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
I guess that's a wrap.
No, sounds good.
Well, it was a pleasure.
It was. It was good.
I don't know what happened.